Excellency Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. Your Excellency, the podium is yours.
Thank you very much. Honorable Ministers of State, Members of Parliament, we have here Honorable Samuel Atachia, Honorable Okugi.
The Accra Business School, where Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is about to address the gathering on a number of issues. Key on this agenda of the topic he's about to talk on is the IT education and government digitization agenda. And clearly, as the head of the economic management team, it is also very possible he'll touch on Ghana's decision to go to the IMF. So we are going straight to the podium to listen to the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
The President of Accra Business School, Professor Cedric Bell, the Vice President of Accra Business School, Professor Elvis Cornerstone, Registrar, faculty members, non-teaching staff, students, distinguished invited guests, the media, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to first of all thank the Chairman of the Governing Council of Accra Business School, Bishop Gideon Titi Ofair, and the management of the Accra Business School for extending an invitation to me to share a few remarks on this milestone event, the launch of 3 new programs that are in alignment with the times we find ourselves in. What I would like to do today is to position my speech in the broader context in which it is nested. I'm going to focus on 5 realms that provide the architecture for these programs under the theme, the role of information technology education in government's digitalization agenda. So these 5 realms include making sense of the data deluge, ever-changing cybersecurity landscape, marketing in a noisy world, the automation advantage, and overwhelmed by tech overload. The government and the stakeholders that exist to serve are rapidly becoming digital in every way. The shift to digital is a long-term trend that has been accelerated by COVID-19 and will continue with improving technology like the rollout of 5G. Now more than ever, digital must be at the forefront and at the center of government's priorities to meet user needs. For the education sector, considered to be the auxiliary backbone of Ghana, schools have surely had a challenging period these past 2 years. They have required new ways of working, an acceleration of digitalization, and a fresh perspective on future opportunities. COVID-19 and the resultant lockdown created a huge barrier between our youth and their education. Ghanaian companies and institutions, such as the Accra Business School, have rallied together to ensure that students receive access to schooling in innovative ways. The incredible work of our nation's educators ought to be acknowledged and celebrated. They have adapted to the challenges of the pandemic to prioritize education of their learners. I highly commend companies that are empowering our economy by uplifting our education sector. While education builds the foundation of an economy, high-quality education allows our nation's citizens to contribute more effectively to our economy and navigate the global landscape. The turbulence of our times has necessitated a nimble response to fast-rising demand for some sectors of the economy. For others, it has called for agility to cope with new limitations on deliverability and access to customers. In both scenarios, technology has emerged as a driving force and facilitator. The world, including Ghana, is heading towards a digital future. But while technology is often heralded as a solution for all seasons, having to traverse the digital landscape without a clear understanding of exactly what challenges it can solve is problematic. The introduction of information technology into classrooms is a necessity for the government's digitalization agenda. It is the perfect match for knowledge seekers everywhere, as the world is brought to them with concision and wit, an opportunity to learn the language of the digital future and the digital economy. The role of IT education in an increasingly interconnected and interdependent world transcends geographical boundaries, economies, and sectors. Over the past decade, information and communication technology, ICT, has helped create the most rapidly growing industry sectors, driven efficiency in government and business operations, and developed the essential building blocks of a knowledge-based economy. In this era of global integration, ICT becomes indispensable and embedded in everyday activities. The promises it offers seem limitless. It can provide governments, businesses, and citizens with access to relevant information and allow them to communicate, to make informed decisions, and enable more efficient processes and services to address various economic, social, financial, and educational needs. As a sector, ICT has contributed to the creation of the most rapidly growing industries such as electronics, business process outsourcing, the telecommunication and internet services. As an infrastructure, ICT is seen as an enabler of economic growth and competitiveness based on the uptake and utilization of ICT in business, education, and society. However, the asymmetrical level of ICT use and pace of ICT diffusion in Ghana have caused the uneven distribution of the benefits of ICT. This creates the digital divide within the country and among communities within it, and calls for attention and assistance from all to make sure we bridge the digital divide. Technology has developed in leaps and bounds over the last 20 years. It continues to advance. The educational system of this country should not be frightened of technology, but should harness it to provide a better and more efficient service to the public, which at the same time creates new avenues for revenue generation for the state and its citizens, and eventually improves the quality of life of Ghanaians. Ladies and gentlemen, in times of crisis and uncertainty, we look for signals to reaffirm who we are, how we should act, and where to go. Heading towards the digital future means that we need a significant transformation of our workforce to get most out of our organizations. IT education is pivotal in the government's digitalization agenda because it offers the opportunity to build human resources for general ICT literacy and ICT professional skills through the use of ICT to be applied in all sectors. Once the process of digitalization is implemented, new technologies within this digital environment not only represent a competitive edge for companies that can take advantage of their potential, but also provide a unique opportunity to innovate. Information technology education will help us in powering digital life by rethinking competition, capitalism, and the roots of collaboration between public and private sectors. Technology will be our servant, not our master. It provides the scope for our courts to resolve disputes more quickly and less expensively, for money to reach various destinations at the speed of sound, to expand market reach and lower costs of doing business, and generally expand the ability of businesses in all sectors to take advantage of global value chains. The widespread adoption of ICT can only be achieved through education. However, none of this can be achieved without a strong strategic center, making better use of data and building capability across the state's digitalization agenda. As the country emerges from the twin crises of the whole world is facing, we will take forward what we have learned to make sure that we use data more intelligently and sensitively in how we craft and deliver public services with ethical considerations. The COVID-19 pandemic gave fresh impetus to digital projects across the public sector, with so many services installed across government in response to COVID-19. So it is timely that today I can re-echo the government's digitalization ambitions. We pursue digitalization not for its own sake, but as a vehicle to solve problems faced by ordinary Ghanaians and transform the economy. Through digitalization, government has been able to solve many problems that have faced Ghanaians. Some of the problems go back to the period before and since independence. We inherited a problem of no unique national identification system. This had been with us since independence. We have implemented the national identification system of the Ghana card. And we have today 16 million Ghanaians with unique identities. And that is a major transformation. A lot of people sometimes don't even appreciate what the impact of the Ghana card is. But if you gave me 1,000 interchanges and a Ghana card, I'll choose the Ghana card because it has more impact on development. With the Ghana card, access to student loans today is without the need for a guarantor. You first needed a guarantor to give you a student loan. But with digitalization and the implementation of it, we now can access student loans without the need for a guarantor. We had no functional address system in Ghana. But with digitalization, we've implemented the digital address system, a national property digital address system, where you have addresses for every 5 by 5 square meter of land or water in Ghana. So we can find every place with a digital address in Ghana. And that is a major, major innovation, and that is one of the benefits of the digitalization agenda. Many of our Ghanaians in the diaspora were bearing the problem and cost of the acquisition of visas by diaspora Ghanaians. Many have in fact, lost passports in the process of applying for visas from Ghanaian embassies abroad. But we have obtained ICAO certification for the Ghana card to be used as a travel document for travel to Ghana from abroad without the need for a visa, and you'll be able to go. We had no mobile money interoperability. You could not, in fact, transfer money from one mobile company to another. Today, we have instituted mobile money interoperability. You can transfer money from one mobile company to another, but also you can transfer money from a bank to a mobile wallet and vice versa. We are the first and the only country in Africa with this type of mobile money interoperability. The majority of adults in Ghana did not have a bank account. But today, with mobile money interoperability and the Ghana card, over 90% of adult Ghanaians either have a mobile money account or a traditional bank account. Both perform practically the same function. And today in Ghana, to open a bank account, all you need is your Ghana card. You don't need to visit a bank. You don't need to fill a form. You just dial a USSD code, you put in your Ghana card number, and your account is open. And that is how you move. We are solving a problem that has bedeviled a lot of Ghanaians. For example, we have our Visa and MasterCards, which are generally not accepted for e-commerce abroad. I'm sure many of you have experienced some of the problems, and many people try to go through PayPal. But because of the progress we've made in our payment system architecture, we've engaged Visa and MasterCard, and now Ghana is going to be a processing hub for Visa and MasterCard, and the rejection of our cards for global e-commerce will now become a thing of the past later this year when we move. We had difficulty of renewing the national insurance membership. Some of our people in the districts had to go and sleep for days just to renew their national insurance card. Today, because of digitization, you can renew your national insurance membership on your phone, pay within minutes, and it is done. We had difficulty and inconvenience in buying electricity units. And if your electricity units run out in the middle of the night, you have to wait till the next day and visit the ECG office. Today, because of digitization, we've digitized the process, and you can buy electricity units on your phone and without any problem. You had problems in obtaining passports. You had to deal with Goro boys and pay bribes. Today, the process is online, and you can apply for your passport without any hassle, pay your fees, and have it delivered. And what we have seen is quite remarkable and dramatic. When we started the digitization in 2017, the total revenue of the passport office was 1 million Ghana cedis. Today, it has jumped to 56 million Ghana cedis in 1 year. And that is a major, and the number of passports that people have applied for, at the beginning of 2017, we had 16,000 a year. Today, 498,000, because you can sit at home and apply for it, and the revenue has gone up. We had a lot of problems with bureaucracy and corruption at the ports. Today, we have digitized the process of clearing goods at the ports. We have paperless ports, and that has really significantly reduced the corruption and bureaucracy at the port. We had difficulty and bureaucracy in applying for scholarships, but following the digitization of the scholarship secretariat, everyone is able to apply for scholarship and receive the scholarship in the comfort of their home via online applications. We had to deal with fake insurance certificates, motor insurance certificates, and the difficulty of checking the validity of motor insurance certificates. There were a lot of fake motor insurance certificates. And we have implemented and digitize the motor insurance database, which can be accessed very simply on your mobile phone by yourself or the police. And you can just dial a USSD code and know whether the vehicle you are about to board has insurance or not. Just this week in the UK, someone driving a Lamborghini was stopped, and the police officer was not able to tell whether this vehicle was insured. So they had to tow the vehicle. They had to tow the vehicle. It came in the news because they couldn't establish whether the vehicle had insurance. Now they need to come and implement the motor insurance database because they could have just used their phone to find out whether the vehicle was insured or not. So we are ahead of many of the advanced countries in this area. We're ahead. One of the problems we have had is the lack of transparency in accounting for travel expenses by government. You know, and when you are given per diems and accounting for it becomes a lot of difficulty. And so we have implemented and digitized the process with a government travel card through the Controller and Accountant General Department. So we have introduced a travel card for all government officials, which will keep a record of all payments made by officials during travel. So there will be no more kululu in the process of accounting for your travel. Very few people, when we came into office, only 4% of the adult population of Ghana had tax identification numbers. Only 4%. Now, with digitization, we turned the Ghana Card ID into the tax identification number, and by so doing, we have increased the proportion of adults with tax identification numbers from 4% to 85% today. There's also the issue of fake birth certificates and so on. We've digitized that process, and we are getting a whole lot from there. The GRA, there was a problem, the difficulty being experienced by people in filing and paying taxes. The GRA has completed the development of a mobile application which will simplify the tax filing and payment process. In fact, in this process, we had to meet with a few Makolo market women just to get a sense of how we needed to simplify the tax application process so that at the lowest levels or the highest levels or wherever level you are talking about, everybody should be comfortable filing taxes. So a mobile tax application has been developed. You can file that tax online, and once you do so, you will immediately get a tax clearance certificate. If you have gone through, you don't need to apply separately for a tax clearance certificate. And we should be seeing this outlawed very soon. Ladies and gentlemen, football clubs and authorities lost a lot of revenue from corruption associated with ticketing for football matches. Now, we have digitized the process of football ticketing, and suddenly their revenue has skyrocketed amongst football clubs. So we have had a whole lot of reform as a result of digitization. We had difficulty in accessing medicines and blood in remote areas, and we have introduced drones in the delivery of critical medicines, vaccines, and blood to people in remote parts of the country. Ghana has the largest medical drone delivery service in the world, the whole world. We have 6 zipline distribution centers in Omenako, Mpanya, Vopsi, Sefibioso, Ketikrachi, and Enum. We are just left with 2 more to be done, which would complete in Funsi and in Techiman, also Kintampo, so that with those 2, we would then be covering the whole of Ghana, right? We have just 2 more to cover the whole of Ghana with delivery of medicines, blood, vaccines, by drones, and it is saving lives every day. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me now go back to the 5 realms that I mentioned earlier in my introduction. Making sense of the data deluge. Being a small and externally oriented economy, Ghana has been particularly sensitive and responsive to the effects of globalization. We have been active participants in the international community and must continue to do so, as our future depends on our active engagement with the globalized world, which encourages the free flow of trade, capital, and knowledge. Our universities must provide a platform for students to prepare for the future by exposing students to a multicultural learning and social environment so that they will be willing and able and competitive enough to work effectively in Africa, Europe, America, Asia, or elsewhere. Unlike budget, capacity, and time, one thing Ghanaian businesses are not short of is data. Traditionally, big data has been assumed to belong to the realm of big business. But things are changing. There is growing awareness of data management solutions for smaller operations, but further education and convincing are required. Now, the ever-changing cybersecurity landscape. Ladies and gentlemen, the digitalization era is witnessing the growing threats of cyber attacks on different businesses and institutions. News of Australian small and medium-scale businesses and firms of different sizes and capacities in the US and other developed countries, as well as state institutions like what happened in the UK Army, are being targeted with ransomware cyber threats, have emerged as a source of growing concern. While security has long been a fundamental consideration, until recently, there has been a widespread lack of understanding as to the extent of cyber threats to organizations other than large corporates. Awareness of potential security breaches and their ramifications is something businesses and state institutions are now seeking. The rise of ransomware attacks on different businesses and institutions has brought home the point that cybersecurity is a serious concern for organizations of every size. Marketing in a noisy world. Online presence is a requirement, but it would seem the bigger the marketing budget, the better known the brand. Yet marketing is a must for ongoing growth and market share for any enterprise. The digital age has meant that businesses rely less on traditional marketing methods, which in many ways has made messaging the masses more accessible. From social media to time-saving artificial intelligence, list building, there are many exciting marketing options for businesses in all sectors of the Ghanaian economy. Maximizing budget is everything, and there is a great deal of focus and concern in the entrepreneurial community about employing people who understand how to maximize reach and produce the campaigns and the content to do so. Marketing in a noisy world is both easier and more complex. The question is, how do you know you're doing everything possible to attract new customers and get your brand in front of the people looking for a small business like yours? The automation advantage. While many institutions can sense the opportunities that the digitalization agenda offers, the abundance of opportunities also makes it difficult for institutions to make appropriate choices on how far and where they should go. In this context, I would like to suggest a guiding principle that should apply to all institutions. Whatever initiatives that an institution is pursuing, they have to be done with the prime objective to enhance the quality of life of Ghanaians. Many business ventures are exploring and embracing automation to streamline business processes and increase efficiencies. There are many options available to automate basic, repetitive, rules-based tasks, allowing them to reduce human error and free up employee time to work on more creative, growth-building tasks. With more and more low-cost automation solutions available, there is an enthusiasm to learn more and discover real-world examples of how they can automate areas such as marketing, sales, operations, and finance. It is clear that there are some tasks that can and should be automated to create more efficiency and free up employees to make better use of their time. And there's always that worry that if we don't, our competitors will. Being overwhelmed by tech load. Ladies and gentlemen, the pandemic has accelerated the digital transformation of most industries, and those that have embraced it have some experience with the benefits of cloud services, connectivity, and mobility and automation. Understanding that these categories of technology are available is one thing, but navigating them is another. Right now, industry leaders are inundated with information and overwhelmed with technology options. The overabundance of choice adds to the pressure of knowing where to begin to find a solution that will work seamlessly with existing systems and satisfy future goals. There is a fear of the known unknown. Selecting the right solution is more important than selecting the right vendor. Vendors tend to push technology, not solutions. Small businesses don't care much about technology. It's more about business outcomes. Tech vendors value the complexity of a solution and therefore the costs of investing. There is a need to first establish trust that solutions work before understanding the technology. At the heart of these 5 realms is the role of information technology education to determine a solution's likelihood of meeting the following criteria. Establish the problem to determine the solution, with emphasis needs to be on solving business challenges rather than the technology itself. Ease of integration within business, understand the potential return on investment for the business with defined and quantitative outcomes. And these are critical criteria. Ladies and gentlemen, before I conclude, I would like to use this opportunity, because this is the first time I'm speaking publicly in a little while. I would like to use this opportunity to make some comments on an issue on the minds of many Ghanaians, which is the decision by government to opt for an IMF program to stabilize the economy in the midst of global crisis, the COVID-19 pandemic, the Russia-Ukraine war, a global crisis that has visited untold hardships on Ghanaians, with rising prices of virtually everything, from fuel to bread to tomatoes, building materials, and so on. In the midst of this global crisis, Ghana's fiscal and debt sustainability has worsened. Some commentators and analysts have argued that the COVID-19 expenditures by government alone could not be the reason for the large increase in the fiscal deficit and the debt stock. In fact, they are right. The COVID-19 expenditures alone were not the reason for the large increase in Ghana's debt stock by the end of 2021. In fact, as I stated in my April 7th lecture this year, in addition to COVID-19, there are 2 major items of expenditure that are critical in understanding the evolution of the fiscal deficit and the debt stock. And these 2 items are the banking sector cleanup and the energy sector excess capacity payments. The excess capacity payments of 17 billion Ghana cedis relate to a legacy of take-or-pay contracts that saddled our economy with annual excess capacity charges of close to $1 billion a year. These were basically contracts to supply energy to Ghana way in excess of our requirements at the time. But we were obligated to pay for the power whether we used it or not. The excess capacity payments of this 17 billion includes a 7 billion cedi payment for gas resulting from the signing of an offtake agreement for a fixed quantity of gas with ENI Sankofa on a take-or-pay basis, which was way in excess of what was needed at the time. Not keeping up with the excess capacity payments would have meant throwing the country back into a new bout of doomsday or power outages. We were also confronted with a banking crisis as a result of the mismanagement of the banking sector. Ghana's banking system was on the verge of collapse, and not dealing with it decisively would have meant a disaster for the economy, with millions of people losing their savings. So we had direct COVID-19 expenditures amounting to 12 billion Ghana cedis. We had the banking sector cleanup costs amounting to 25 billion Ghana cedis, and the excess capacity payments amounting to 17 billion Ghana cedis. And the data shows that the three items, when you take COVID, banking sector cleanup, and the excess capacity payments, cumulatively amounted to 54 billion Ghana cedis. And that is the equivalent of $7 billion. Three items, $7 billion that of expenditure which had to be taken. You couldn't say you wouldn't spend to rescue the banking sector because you are in trouble. The economy will collapse. You couldn't say you won't pay excess capacity payments because you will have power outages. You couldn't say you wouldn't spend on the COVID because we had a job to save lives. So the Ministry of Finance estimates, and this money, this $54 billion, was borrowed money. The Ministry of Finance estimates that the interest payment on just this 54 billion Ghana cedis that was borrowed for these three items is 8.5 billion Ghana cedis annually. And this represents 23% of our annual interest payments of about 37 billion Ghana cedis. So to put the expenditure on these three items in perspective, it is important to juxtapose it against the total expenditure releases on some of the government's key flagship projects, including the free SHS, the One District, One Factory, Planting for Food and Jobs, Development Authorities, the Ghana Card, Zongo Development Fund, NAPCO, Teacher Training Allowance, Nursing Training Allowance. The data shows that the expenditure on these flagship policies that I've mentioned, the total expenditure by government on these flagship policies over a 5-year period amounted to 15.6 billion Ghana cedis. 5 years of free SHS, NAPCO, and all of that, 15.6 billion Ghana cedis. And this is compared with the 54 billion Ghana cedis expenditure on the three exceptional items. So the expenditure on the three exceptional items is more than 3 times the expenditure on the flagship programs over 5 years. In fact, the annual interest cost of the borrowing, the 54 billion for the three exceptional items would pay for double the annual cost of all the three flagship programs I've referred to. So it should be noted, ladies and gentlemen, that without the 54 billion debt for the three exceptional items, the COVID-19, the financial sector cleanup, and the energy sector excess capacity payments, Ghana's debt to GDP would be within the sustainability thresholds of some 68% instead of the 76.6% at the end of 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, following the Russia-Ukraine war, energy and food prices skyrocketed globally. For many advanced economies, inflation reached 30 and 40-year highs. Inflation in Ghana has increased to 29.8% in June 2022. Global supply chains were disrupted and shipping costs increased by over 1,000%. Economic growth slowed down. Higher revenue projections in the 2022 budget based on tax exemptions, property rates, and the e-levy did not materialize. The debt sustainability analysis continued to place Ghana at a high risk of debt distress. There was a credit ratings downgrade by the international credit ratings agencies. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, before COVID-19, Ghana was borrowing some $3 billion annually from the international capital market. But following COVID-19, the international capital markets have been largely inaccessible by emerging market countries like Ghana. Furthermore, as a result of increases in interest rates in the developed economies and increased perceived risk of emerging market economies, investors have pulled $50 billion from emerging market bond funds just in this year, in 2022. 50 billion have been pulled. Non-resident holders of bonds in Ghana were not also rolling over maturities. In a decline in foreign exchange reserves also resulted. With the challenges in accessing the international capital market, balance of payment support was needed to bridge this financing gap, stabilize the economy, and create the space to implement structural reforms and restore debt sustainability. And this is really the reason why Ghana had to go to the IMF. I should again note that Ghana has been hit with a quadruple whammy. A quadruple whammy. The energy sector excess capacity payments, banking sector cleanup, COVID-19, and the Russia-Ukraine war. We have been hit by this quadruple whammy. And I say again that if you take out the fiscal impact of this quadruple whammy, Ghana will not be going to the IMF for support because our fiscal and debt and balance of payments outlook would be sustainable. Of the four factors, COVID-19 and the Russia-Ukraine war were external, and the other two, the banking sector cleanup and the excess capacity payments, were the result of policies of the previous government. Today, all over the world, fuel prices are rising in virtually every country. Food prices are rising, inflation is high, it's at a high for many years, currencies are falling in value, fiscal deficits are rising, debt levels are increasing. This is happening globally, and this tells us that what we are dealing with is a global phenomenon. Let me give you an analogy to make my point. If you ask a carpenter to roof your house, and he roofs this house, and suddenly the roof collapses, without any rainfall or wind, suddenly you have a collapsing of the roof. Will you not blame the carpenter who did the roofing? Will you not blame the carpenter? But if the carpenter roofs your house and the roof collapses because there's a tornado and a storm which has blown away roofs and windows and walls of many houses, will you blame the carpenter? Will you blame the carpenter? So, let us understand the context. Let us understand the context. In one situation, you will definitely blame the carpenter. In another situation, you will blame the tornado. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are interested in the way forward. Whatever is the cause we are dealing with an economic crisis. Unfortunately, judging from where we are today, there is no end in sight for the Russia-Ukraine war. While we hope for a quick end to the war, we must understand that things could get worse before they get better. We have to steel ourselves for that because we just don't know when this war is going to end. The major lesson of the last 2 years is that we have to be more self-reliant. It is important that we take decisions that will inure to the benefit of the country, regardless of whether we are going to the IMF for a program or not. Regardless, we have to take the decisions that will help Ghana. The immediate task is to restore fiscal and debt sustainability, and these will be through revenue and expenditure measures and structural reforms. There's no way of going about that. We should also try and curtail non-concessional borrowing. That has to be curtailed. The reliance on international capital markets to fill the financing gap of about $3 billion annually exposed the vulnerability of the economy once the capital markets shut down to emerging markets. This has heightened the need for Ghana to build foreign exchange reserve buffers to cater for unanticipated shocks like COVID-19 and the Russia-Ukraine war. Ladies and gentlemen, notwithstanding that Ghana is one of the largest producers of gold in the world, and we have been so for almost 100 years, notwithstanding that, at the end, Ghana's reserves of gold at the central bank, we, this largest producer of gold, notwithstanding that, Ghana's reserves of gold at the central bank at the end of 2021 was only 8.7 kilograms. That is our quantum of gold reserves. And it is against this background that the Bank of Ghana started a gold purchase program from gold producers to build up its foreign exchange reserves. To enhance this gold purchase program, government is implementing a new policy, which is already backed by law. And under this new policy, the Bank of Ghana, the central bank, will have the first right of refusal for all gold mined in Ghana. We will have the first right of refusal. The law says if you mine gold, we can buy it off you. And so the central bank will have the first right of refusal, and the central bank will purchase the gold at world market prices, and the mining companies will export the portion that is not purchased by the central bank. This is a very, very important policy. Ultimately, once we accumulate enough gold, our future borrowing and our currency can be backed by gold. This will stabilize the cedi in the long term. We must also deepen our industrialization through value addition to gold. Even though Ghana has 2 gold refineries, none has the London Bullion Market Association certification, and this limits our full participation in the gold value chain. We will urgently work towards LBMA certification for our refineries in the next few years. Value addition to minerals such as lithium and bauxite will similarly be pursued, in addition to our 1D, 1F program and the implementation, continued implementation of the automotive sector policy. We are building, and we have to build, an industrial economy. We are also poised for major reform in the energy sector. The energy sector has proven to be an Achilles heel for the economy, and the reforms will make the sector more market-based. The investment in technical and vocational education has been massive, and we will continue to focus on technical and vocational education training to provide the skills needed for industry. Domestic revenue mobilization is key to self-reliance. We have put in place the architecture and infrastructure to expand the tax base and collect more taxes. A new unified common platform for the collection of property taxes is going to be soon outdoored. We are rationalizing tax exemptions through the tax exemptions bill. We are easing of the filing of taxes and payment for taxes through the new GRA application. The new architecture for domestic revenue mobilization should be fully operational by the end of the year. The circumstances call for an increased focus on agricultural production in the face of predicted global food shortages. And digitalization, as we have just noted, is key to our participation in the fourth industrial revolution, and we must therefore deepen the digitalization of the economy. It is important to note, ladies and gentlemen, that the focus of economic management by successive governments since independence in Ghana has been on crisis management as a result of factors such as the collapse in commodity prices, increase in oil prices, debt unsustainability, political instability, and so on. So governments since independence have tended to focus on crisis management. Governments have by and large not focused on building systems and institutions that underpin economic activities in a modern economy. The systems that will reduce bribery and corruption, the systems that will make the delivery of public services efficient, the systems that will enhance domestic revenue mobilization, and the systems that will reduce the cost of doing business and make it easier for Ghanaians. I should note that Ghana has gone to the IMF for a program 17 times since independence. And after each IMF program, the underlying system and structure of the economy has remained the same. After each of the 17 IMF programs, Ghana did not have a national ID card, no functioning national digital property address system, only 30% of the adult population had a bank account, inefficiency, bureaucracy, and bribery at the ports, and in delivery of government services, no digitization at the passport office, DVLA, births and deaths, no motor insurance database, no credit scoring for credit reference agencies, less than 4% of the population had a tax identification number, and there was no integration of databases of the GRA, SNIT, Controller and Accountant General, NHIS, Ghana Health Service, Passport Office, DVLA, police, immigration, bank accounts, and SIP cards with a unique identifier. There was no such integration. There were no drones to deliver medical supplies, no universal QR code, no national scale e-pharmacy, no unified common platform for property taxation, no gold purchase program by the Bank of Ghana with a first right of refusal by the central bank for all gold mined in Ghana, no focus on TVET education, no industrial policy like 1D, 1F, no overarching agricultural policy like planting for food and jobs, and no free senior high school education. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking now about a different Ghana, a Ghana that is being rapidly transformed. The underlying systems are being dramatically changed through digitalization and other policies that will transform the structure of the economy. With enhanced fiscal discipline and structural reforms to restore debt sustainability and growth, we should emerge stronger than we have with the previous 17 IMF programs. But it will take hard work and difficult decisions. Ladies and gentlemen, with great pride and personal pleasure, it is good that we are all part of this launch of the 3 new programs by the Accra Business School in collaboration with the Southeast Technical University. It's a day when the neglect of many decades comes to an eventual end. It's a beginning to lay foundations of strengthened institutions to take up the challenges of time with an able and apt workforce. It's a day when a new beginning is being made by forging a common alliance between the government and academic leaderships to protect, preserve, and promote, above all, democracy via digitalization. And to turn this dream into a formidable reality, I launched the academic programs of the BSc IT Management, BSc Cybercrime and IT Security, MSc IT Management. It is a great day, and I know that this is a great school. It's a first-class school, and I'm saying to people who are thinking about careers in IT, these are the sort of courses you want to take if you want to be part of the digital future. Thank you very much. God bless you. God bless our homeland, Ghana.